Once more, in all our excitement and awe, for the sake of the world game, England and Joe Root need to be more mindful of better managing Jofra Archer's workload. Don't kill the goose that laid the golden egg. We've seen this movie before. And that's where we're going to start. We're going to start talking about Jofra Archer, the sensation, the Bayesian sensation, you might want to say. Playing for England, his first ever test match. And he took to it like a pro. He really did. First spell, late on the, I think it was the second day. It was a bit wide. Wasn't really testing the batsman. But once he got into his groove, he was pretty much unplayable. And even in that first spell, should have had Warner out. They didn't review when the arm got caught behind. And he cut up Bancroft at least once with a leg cutter. And there was still deliveries within that first spell. I think it was about 4 overs or so. That you said, yeah, this is a bowler. And we know. We've seen him already at the World Cup. And it was only about, let's see what he's going to do at this level. Maybe a bit of nerves played his part in terms of the accuracy at first. But as I said, once he found his rhythm, he was unplayable. So much so that we saw the scenes of him hitting Smith on the back of his neck and ultimately concussing him, ruling him out of the test, ruling him out of the third test as well. Of course, now they've got substitute concussion players, so Marcus Labachon came in and he did very well as a replacement, but you can't replace Smith. Smith as a loss for Australia is massive, it's huge. In the match, it didn't matter so much. They got the draw that the game pretty much was always going to be from the moment the first day was washed out. At times you would have thought Australia were the team that if anyone was going to win, they would have won. But in the end, through Jofra Archer's spell, through Ben Stokes' century, it was England in the driving seat. England with that opportunity to win. In the end, they only had Australia 6 down, weren't able to take the win that would have leveled the series. But within that draw, you would say it's a moral victory because those Australian batsmen could not play Archer. Smith, even before he got knocked down, he was hit on his arm. He had to be sent for X-ray. I think he got hit in his arm twice actually, once on the forearm and once I think just by the elbow. Labachon, he was hit in the grill. And I think there was another batsman as well who was also hit. I think it might have been Tim Payne or one of them in the middle order. Archer was peppering them. Fire and brimstone. Like a typical West Indian. That was a West Indies fast bowler of old. And his action is so smooth. It's so... it just flows. There's no strain. It looks like there's no effort. But somehow the ball's coming out at 95 and 96 miles an hour. But as Ian Bishop said in the tweet that I read right at the beginning, be careful. We know the story about the goose that laid the golden egg. And because he runs up so comfortably, he doesn't seem to tire. If anything, it looked like he got quicker as the spell went on. You run the risk of burnout. You run the risk of an injury. He's had his injury issues. That's why he didn't play in the first test. That was part of the reason why he left West Indies in the first place, because of those injury issues. And he had injury issues when he came over to England and was playing on the county circuit. So they have to be careful. He bowled maybe 30 or maybe 40 overs in the test, and it was a truncated test. Wilkes bowled maybe 20 in the last innings, I think, if that. And I'm thinking, you've got a bowler bowling at 80 miles an hour. He should be able to bowl more than a bowler bowling at 95. I know you wanted to get the win, so you're gonna bowl your best bowler as often as you can, but there's 3 more tests to go. The worst thing that can happen now for England is Archer to get injured, and with Anderson out already, you're really down to the bare minimum. Root didn't bowl Wilkes late on in the first test, and that was very questionable in Australia's second innings. He didn't bowl him at certain times today. In the second test. So sometimes you got a question, you're thinking, what is going through the thinking of the captain, thinking of Joe Root, and his captaincy has been called into question by some of the ex-pros. But England did well for a 4-day test to get as close as they did to winning. You have to give them credit. And whilst Australia have the advantage, or the 1-0 advantage, you have to say going into that 3rd test, the advantage, at least psychologically, is with England. Australia's best batsman's out. The rest of them can't seem to play Archer. Warner, the next most senior batsman, is like a rabbit to Stuart Broad. Can't seem to play. Australia's batting is weak. That's just a fact. It's weak. England's batting is weak as well. Smith was holding Australia's batting together. He's not there anymore. Someone else is going to have to stand up. Maybe it will be Warner. Maybe Labuschagne. Maybe the likes of Wade will step up to the party. But I know Wade did get a century in the first test, and Labuschagne, he was very dogged in his first innings, in Australia's second innings, on the final day, and there was a lot of controversy about his actual dismissal, whether or not it hit the ground before Root caught it or not. So he looks, I would say, set to play in that second test. Sorry, in the 3rd test. But can you trust that you're going to get that time and time again from Smith, who generally you could trust? Innings after innings, he's going to get you a certain amount of runs, bat a certain amount of time. I don't think you can rely on any other batsman to do that. England, you kind of know what you're going to get. Australia, a lot of questions. Not only is there question marks about the batting, there's going to be a few about the bowling. Stark hasn't played. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't play in this match. Who did he come in for? Is it Siddle? Is it Patterson? Can't be Cummins, innit? Or Hazelwood. He was very good. So you're going to drop Hazelwood, or you're going to drop Siddle? But I feel Stark has to come in. You're not going to drop Lyon, of course. And you can't weaken the batting than it already is. So Australia have got decisions to make. What Australia do have in their favour, of course, alongside the 1-0 lead, is the fact they only need to win 1 test. They win 1 test out of the last 3, they've retained the Ashes, no matter what England do. England have to win at least 2 and have to prevent Australia winning at least 1. So whether it's win 2 and draw 1 or win 3, England have... The backs are against the wall. The confidence may be high, but the backs are against the wall, because as much as close as they may have come in this test, they were thoroughly outplayed come the end of the first test. At different stages, England would have said they're ahead, but come the end, it was a comprehensive victory. And their batting is not secure itself. Root coming in at 3, he's struggling. The openers struggling. Burns, to be fair, is finding a way to get runs, even though he's been dropped a few times before he gets those. Roy struggling. Butler. Denley, not really. Denley hasn't been bad, but 30 runs and out. Butler would be lucky to even get to 30. For me, he's not a test player. I've said it already. I'm not going to beat that same drum, but he's not a test player, not test quality. They've probably got questions about, I said, Root underbowled Wilkes, I think, in the first 2 tests. Are they going to bring in Sam Curran and that Headingley? That swing that he offers, and better batting. If he can bat as well as he has for England, without Australia's leading batsman, that could put England in a big, big advantage in this test. Question marks about their spinner. Jack Leach did bowl well, but he's no Nathan Lyon even. And Nathan Lyon, many at some stage wouldn't even class him as world class. He's a top spinner. And I wouldn't even say Leach is anywhere near his quality at all. He did bowl well, but there's still question marks about both sides. But without Smith, I think just psychologically, that's a massive hit for Australia and a massive boost for England. Hopefully we can see the competition, the rivalry again between Archer and Smith. How can Smith reply to what Archer threw at him in the second test? Hopefully we'll be back for the fourth and fifth test and we can see that contest resume. But for now, the rest of the Australian batsmen are going to have to do what Smith isn't able to do because he's not available. They're going to have to stand up and be counted. England, on the other hand, they have to take the ball by the horns. They have to ram home this, you might say, this man advantage that they have right now with Smith gone. If they fail to win this game, I can't see them winning the series. I can't see them winning the last two games. This for me is the moment to strike. Strike while the iron's hot, as they said. But listen to the words of Uncle Ian Bishop. Remember the story of the goose that laid the golden egg. Jofra Archer, for the sake of world cricket, must be protected. Guys, let me know all your thoughts on the Ashes so far. Third test starts on Thursday over in Headingley. Let me know your predictions for that match and for the rest of the series in the comments below. Hit the like and subscribe button.